All right. Right on. Hey, everybody. Joey Gilbert here. Going to do a little later than normal Facebook Live. I meant to get on this thing almost 2 hours ago, but I didn't want to disappoint. I said I was doing this, so I'm doing it. And I'm going to wait for some people to jump on. Let's get some people on board here. Where's everybody at? This is going to be a good one, guys. I want everybody to take a minute. You know, let's hold up and see who we can get on here. We had quite an audience last time, and I think that we're only gonna impress people again with more insanity that's taking place. Here we go. Love to see everybody in the comments. My people that have been backing me up, you know who you are. Want to give a special shout out to Miss Melissa Brown, who always brings the information that I am referencing and puts it in the comments. I cannot be more appreciative of that. So this Facebook Live, guys, is going to be on the election infection and what's taking place across America, and the fact that we have rampant voter fraud that has taken place in the swing states. Go figure. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I had a document I showed you last time. Coronavirus on the rise in every swing state. That was kind of funny before the election. Now they're doing the same garbage. They're saying everyone's got to go back into lockdown. And so we're going to talk about some things tonight. We're going to mainly talk about what happened in the swing states. And I don't know if everybody's really aware of this, because the fake news media is not reporting on it. Not News 2 here, not News 8, not News 4. They've all lost their spine. They've lost any type of courage or anything. And they just basically mirror the talking points of the DNC and the fake news media across the country. So here's a couple of things that is just going to shock you guys, right? I bring this stuff up every time we go into the corona stuff. But here's one thing that's interesting. So I want everybody to know this. First of all, I did get to go down and try and observe some of the counting. I want to let everybody know it is a bunch of nonsense. Just so you guys understand something, you can't see anything. The duplication tables are about 75 to 100 feet away. I got to go down to the county. I don't think it's as bad here in Washoe County as it probably is in Las Vegas, but you're talking 100 feet, all right? The signature verification is 6 desks and 4 behind us. There's only one computer screen that's visible if you're in a specific seat. We have no visibility into the closets. The runner's tables are about 75 feet away. Yeah, guys. So also, the duplication adjudication board can go into anyone from the duplication and adjudication board can go into the cage by themselves, meaning only one person. So a Democrat or Republican going to be in the cage for 2 to 3 minutes by themselves without any observation. Okay? So I know that they go on TV and they talk about that we do have the ability to observe. Yeah, from 70 feet away with someone's back turned to you, how can you see anything? There's no observation of the ballots, of the ballot counting procedure, of the verification process, of any of that nonsense. It's all a bunch of bull. It didn't happen. And in places like Pennsylvania and Michigan, they not only didn't let people in, but they put up boards. They boarded off the windows to look in. That's how crazy that was. So everybody, come on, let's start sounding off in the comments. We're going to go through a lot of stuff today, guys. Here's something from 360 News down in Las Vegas, my boy Rob Lauer. He goes on to talk about how he did an information request, and they said that out of all the non-registered, non-citizens removed from the voting list, they removed 30 of them. They removed 30 of them. And how many do we think we have? Assuming 2019 had an average of 11,000 new permanent residents, over 77,000 green card holders since 2013 were eligible to obtain Nevada driver's licenses, and then would have received a mail-in ballot under the new opt-out motor voter law that went into effect last year. that doesn't take into account the tens of thousands or more green card holders who've been in the country for many years prior. According to the Nevada DMV, there are 63,000 active driver authorization cards issued to people who are not residents of this country as of October 2020. So according to Clark County officials, only 30 non-citizens were removed from the voter rolls in 2019. That means at some 140,000 non-citizens received, that means that 140,000 non-citizens received mail-in ballots in this year's presidential election. Think any of those got turned in? 140,000? Nah, it wouldn't do that. So here we go, guys. Here's something that's important. This is from our own Department of Health and Human Services. So this goes on to talk about COVID-19 death. And what's interesting about this here is that they are now counting all flu as COVID. This is right here. This is right here from their own lips, right? From their own lips. They are now calling all flu COVID. Do you understand what kind of a problem that creates here in the hospital setting? If everybody that's presenting at the hospital for a flu-like symptom is now being called COVID, that might scare the heck out of you, huh? That might have our ridiculously incompetent governor calling for more lockdowns and more stay-at-home. But there's a problem with that, everybody. And this was just sent to me by my good friend Rufino. I have a color copy of it. Rufino, I'm going to show him your color copy. It was so much prettier. Where'd it go? Where is this? So, I have from Rufino. Where's the thing, dude? How'd you send it to me? So here it is. Southern Nevada hospitals. This is November 11th, guys. Southern Nevada hospitals release statement saying facility capacities remain sufficient. You understand that? There's no need to lock down. There's no need to slow the spread. On top of the fact that it doesn't work. The lockdowns destroyed the economy, destroyed businesses, destroyed our children's emotional well-being, our seniors' emotional well-being, and provided very little, if any, impact to slowing the spread. So hospitals call on public, to do their part, but our hospitals remain safe places to receive care, and Nevadans should not delay seeking necessary treatment. This is from the Southern Nevada hospitals, guys. Okay, Southern Nevada hospitals. They say everything is good to go. Now, I want to share this with everybody. I just spoke to someone that I trust very much. Works in both hospitals, and this is what I was told. Hospitals are on divert, again, red divert status, like they are every time this time of year, every year. Did you hear what I just said? Our hospitals here in the north are on divert, are on red, like they are every year this time of year. But Washoe County and the state is now calling all flu COVID-19. They're not even being shy about it. Okay, so now here's the other thing. Did you all know that flu is down 98% worldwide? The flu is down 98% worldwide. I'm going to show you this document because it's pretty so you can see that it's... Here it is. Here's the document. Oh, you can't see that. You can't see that. Come on, how can you not see that? Did I get close enough? Nah, you can't see it. So guys, this is from the Department of Health and Human Services, like I'm saying, and the reason I'm reading this to you is from their own lips. They are even counting normal flu deaths as COVID death. It was all a sham to steal the election. You know who said that, Stacey Sampson. Damn it. So, guys, in Southern Nevada, they're telling you hospitals release statement saying facility capacities remain sufficient. Calm down. Don't believe the nonsense you're hearing from Governor I have no clue Sisolak, right? He knows about my lives though. He's about had enough of my lives. Well, they're going to keep coming. So, guys, this is why I'm talking to you real quick. This is the election infection. I want to show this to you again. Stats hold a surprise. Lockdowns may have had little effect on COVID-19 spread. Everybody, get here in the comments. Start paying attention to this. Start sharing this video now, because he's going to start with the shutdowns again. All right? When he starts with the shutdowns again, remember, worldwide, they're saying they didn't work. They didn't do a damn thing. And the mask didn't work either. I showed you this last time. This is Argentina. When they implemented the mask on April 14th, and this bottom graph goes to 10/4, so to October. They implemented the mask on April 14th. After they implemented the mask, the cases ticked up exponentially. Why is that? Great question. We'll get to it. Everybody, I want you to start looking for this. American frontline doctors, physicians. Masks don't control viruses, they control you. The pandemic is over. Now, I want to read this to everybody because you got to hear it. A rapidly growing group of doctors critical of the government and the media's response to the coronavirus crisis characterized mask wearing as completely irrelevant to blocking the virus. America's frontline doctors, a diverse, exceedingly well-credentialed group of physicians, gathered in the nation's capital October 16th and 17th for a second White Coat Summit aimed at countering the massive disinformation campaign regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, according to the official website. Physician, attorney, and founder of AFLD, Dr. Simone Gold, began their press conference affirming the event's purpose: to bring the American people truth, hope, optimism, and more reasons to not live in fear of the coronavirus. She affirmed that there continues to be a great deal of disinformation and outright censorship, which since July has only gotten worse. In response, the emergency doctor announced that AFLD has established a website where all can access information on the issues which is not censored, and will serve to dispel the myths created by the media, who has lied to the American people. Non-stop, guys, this is true. The website even provides practical help for finding a physician who may prescribe hydroxychloroquine, a pharmacy that would likely fill it, and a map of U.S. states where HCQ use for COVID is not restricted. There's also detailed information to give a physician who may need convincing information on the effectiveness of hydroxychloroquine. So, guys, she goes on to saying that masks as lucky charms. With regard to masks, Gold did not mince her words, stating, "The facts are not in dispute. The facts are not in dispute. Masks are completely irrelevant to blocking SARS coronavirus." Encouraging all to do their own research, she affirmed what they would discover prior to masks becoming political in March of 2020. There was never even an attempt at a pretense that masks, let alone bandanas, stop a virus. It's a complete fabrication. A virus is 1/1000th the size of a hair. Gold referred to Anthony Fauci, a key member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, who confirmed the same about masks in March in an interview where she referred to him as Emperor Fauci. She then cited the New England Journal of Medicine, which acknowledged that masks serve symbolic roles and are thus mere lucky charms that may help increase a person's perceived sense of safety. In addition to having no effect on curbing the spread of the virus, Gold also made strong arguments that masks are socially divisive, cause an insurmountable civil libertarian issue, and even threaten national security. Illustrating the absurdity of the dominant narrative, she said, "Notice that what the experts have said for months has been wrong. There are not 2 million dead. Our healthcare system is not overwhelmed. There were 10 times the ventilators that were needed, and nearly everyone survives, and early treatment works. You must not ignore your own life experience," she claimed. If all you had to do is stop a virus is hold a tissue paper to your face, our ancestors would have learned this centuries ago, and your grandmother would have taught you this. So anyway, I encourage all of you to look up this Life News physician, this Life site, or go to America's Frontline Doctors. Look them up. It's very easy to find. Let me see if I can. It's AmericanFrontlineDoctors.com. AmericasFrontlineDoctors.com. If someone could please put that in the comments, please. AmericasFrontlineDoctors.com. Go on that website and you can learn everything I'm talking about here. So now, let's dip back into some of the nonsense. So this is also a post and a Facebook Live about the cheating. Guys, you really must, I don't know, be out there. If you're one of these educated folks like I meet every day now saying, Joey, you don't really think that this cheating is real, do you? I'm blown away. Guys, start looking, okay? Start looking for the information that's out there. Do some research. Get on DuckDuckGo, get on Google and go to the back pages. But do me a favor, go look up the software program scorecard. Look up Dominion software. See who owns Dominion software that was used in 30 states. The Dominion software program, that's a vote tallying program, was used in 30 states, including all swing states. And let's just say that when they went back and looked at some of the information, they were how can we say, the inaccuracies and some of the issues they were having, they found that in 47 counties in Michigan, this software had somehow given Trump votes to Biden. It wasn't just a few, it was 6,000. 6,000 votes for President Trump went to Biden via this software called Dominion. Now, there's been numerous videos that have been censored. There's some on my Facebook. You can go find them. You'll see where Facebook has blurred them out. Watch those videos. We're actually live with the ticker tape on CNN. There's a glitch in the software, and it shows 560 votes being added to Biden. At the same time, 560 votes are taken from Trump. How would that be possible? How would that be possible? So, again, anybody that's saying that there's no voter fraud out there is lying to you. Anybody that's saying that there's no voting irregularities is lying to you. In every post now that you go on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and you go to post and immediately tells you that those results are not in dispute, they're lying to you. Newsflash, everybody, big tech doesn't get to tell you who won the presidential election, okay? They're lying to you. ABC doesn't get to determine who the president is. CBS doesn't get to determine who the president is. NBC doesn't get to determine who the president is. MSNBC doesn't get to determine who the president is. Facebook doesn't get to tell you who the president is. Instagram doesn't get to tell you who the president is. Okay, you guys catching me here? Twitter doesn't get to tell you who the president is. Why? Because these guys are all jackasses, number one. Number two, that's not how it works. Read the Constitution. So when these votes are ratified by the states and then sent, then we have some movement. But right now, Joe Biden is not the president-elect. Not by a long shot. I know he thinks he's the president-elect. I know the Democrats think he's the president-elect. And I know most of y'all think he's the president-elect. Because what did they do? I told you this was going to happen, that once the election was over, there was going to be a media blackout. I don't mean the media was going to shut off. I don't mean Facebook wasn't going to stop working. But what were they going to do? They were going to censor the posts that didn't carry their narrative, which they're doing. Okay? They're only reporting their results, their narrative. CNN, Fox, even Fox News lost it. I'll never watch them again. Why? Because what they did with Arizona, calling Arizona. And Arizona's still up in the air and more than likely going to go to Trump. Just like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Georgia. They're all going to go to Trump. When it's all said and done, mark my words, he's going to get Pennsylvania. He's going to get Arizona. He's going to get Michigan. I don't know how he's going to do it. I wish I had a crystal ball. but he's going to get them because he was breaking 2-1 in that state when they stopped a presidential count for the first time in our nation's history. Do you guys understand what I'm talking about here? Can everyone please get on board with me here? All right, because just feel me out. Let's just walk with me on this. In 6 of the battleground states, the most contested states, which still haven't provided the results or called the election, in the 6 most hotly contested battleground states, the same 6 states, where's the thing, where the coronavirus was on the rise, the same states that they're going to probably lock down now right now to keep us all in our houses while they continue the nonsense. Yeah, those 6 states, for the first time in our nation's history, stopped counting presidential votes. Stopped counting, or did they stop counting Trump votes and start making Biden votes appear? Because wouldn't that have been crazy if I had, wouldn't it be crazy if I had some information that showed that what I'm talking about is true? Wow. Why does Biden have so many more votes than Democrat senators in swing states? Guys, remember this article? Why does Biden have so many more votes than Democrats in swing states? Now, I thought that was odd too, right? I mean, how could that happen? So, just so you guys understand what I'm talking about, give you some context. When you vote, and you voted here in Nevada, if you're a Republican, you probably voted for Donald Trump and Mark Amodei, right? Because we like Mark Amodei. We all love Mark Amodei. I love Mark Amodei. I like Mark Amodei. Think you could do a little more, but that's neither here nor there. Definitely would vote for him over the Democrat. Or how about Big Dan Rodimer? Big Dan Rodimer, right? Love Big Dan. So if you're going to vote for Big Dan and you're going to vote for Trump, you're just going to be kind of close, right? You're going to, I mean, the Republican candidate for Congress or the Republican candidate for Senate and the presidential candidate for president, right? Obviously, they're going to be the same or within the same ballpark, right? You'd think that. So here's what I'm talking about, guys. In Michigan, the GOP senator running and Trump, there was a difference of about 7,131,000 votes. For Joe Biden, the difference between the guy running for Senate and Biden, 70,000 votes. That's 70,000 vote difference. Why would that happen? Well, okay, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that was just Michigan, Joe. You're crazy. How about Georgia? It's even worse, where they're still finding votes. And here's something funny. Remember I talked about this? I said you guys didn't want to believe me. So how did they have this big of a difference in Michigan? Now remember what I just said. The difference in Michigan between Trump and John James running for Senate was about 7,000 votes. The difference in Michigan between candidate Biden and President Donald Trump was 69,000 votes. Do you think maybe they were blocking you from seeing something there? Why else would you block? If you've got nothing to hide, why are you blocking the windows with pizza boxes and cardboard? But there's no fraud going on, right, guys? There's no vote. I'm just making this up. I got nothing better to do. Almost 10 o'clock, Thursday night. Yeah, I got nothing better to do. Yeah, it's called saving our country. So, Detroit absentee ballots, counting chaos, block windows, and observers. They didn't even let the observers in. Join me here, guys. Come on. Get on here. Let's get in the comments. Let's get loud. Let's talk about this. But in Georgia, it was even worse. And hold on, I found something that was funny because someone, again, Joey, come on, man. Like, that can't be all true. Like, they're not cheating. Where is the Georgia one? So they went to bed in Georgia, and then, oh, you guys, have you heard of Rod, how do you say his name? Blagojevich? Remember the guy from Illinois that went to jail for a little bit? Where is my, hold on, stay with me, guys, stay with me. This is important stuff, because if I don't show you this, then you're going to think I'm lying. And I don't want you to think I'm lying. I want to only provide the truth here. And that's not the truth. So, COVID PCR tests. Lockdowns are bad for us. We already know all that. Where is the... So they talk about why... Oh, there it is. Georgia Secretary of State. Here we are. Georgia's Secretary of State said this morning there were under 25,000 uncounted ballots. Now his office says there's over 60. Okay, you guys see that? So when they didn't think they were losing as bad as they were, they only thought they had 25,000 to count. But then as soon as they're getting their butts whooped, and guys, just so you know, Donald Trump won in a landslide. I mean, the biggest ever. I mean, when it's all said and done, 71 million or more. If they give them back the votes they stole through the software programs and everything else and the ballots they threw out, it's going to be 73 million. Most ever for a president, incumbent president ever in his lifetime. He won that big. And how do we know he won that big? Because the swing states went into full-blown crisis lockdown mode. And so when I was saying, why are the swing states? I got a little sidetracked there. I want to show you that Georgia thing. How about this? So in Georgia, it got even worse, where they're currently still finding more Biden votes. Trump, 2,432,799 votes. The GOP senator, 2,433,617, a difference of 818. Joe Biden, 2,414,651. Democratic senator, 2,300,018,850, a difference of 95,000. Do you guys see that? That's called cheating. Do you see that? No, guys, this doesn't happen by normal circumstance. No, it's not because there are a lot of registered voters that day. No, that's called cheating. And you want to know why? Because again, after accounting for third-party vote, huge amount of mysterious Biden votes with no down ticket votes. Do you know what that means? That means that whoever voted for Biden here overwhelmingly, 100,000 more votes than his Senate, the guy running for Senate in Georgia, is because they cheated. They just threw a bunch of mail-in ballots into the count. So I'm not making this up. It's pretty easy for everybody to see. Again, here's one thing about Detroit when I told you how they were blocking the windows in Detroit. I mean, like, again, you've got the Georgia Secretary of State saying there's only 25,000 to count, and then the next morning she's got 70,000. Now we find out the differences. Here we go. Other videos show Detroit police protecting the doors, preventing observers from entering. Guys, Michigan was stalled worse than anybody else. And when it really comes out what they did in Michigan, I mean, Trump won Michigan in a landslide. Just like Pennsylvania. It was breaking two. They didn't know what to do. They literally did not know what to do. They thought 100,000 ballots here, 100,000. I mean, Democrats always cheat. Big time. Big time cheaters. This time, they got caught with their pants down. They had to fill out so many ballots, they didn't even have the time to mark anybody else. They just had to mark Biden. Or these were the Biden ballots that they just had in special reserve where they flew them in. I'm not really sure what they did. All I know is that there's no way this can happen without that. So again, here was a comparison of a state that they didn't do it in. Here's Wyoming. See, this guy's Wyoming. Trump votes, 193. GOP Senator, 197. Difference, 4,000. Biden, 73,000 to 72,000. Difference is 725. No massive flood of mysterious empty Biden votes. It's fraud. The Democrats are committing fraud in the swing states. Now, you won't see this anywhere else. There's not a single news station that's going to play this for you. Our News 8, in the tank. Our News 4, in the tank. Our News 2, all fake news. Fox 11, all fake news. No one will report the news anymore. It's disgusting. So that's what happened in the states like Michigan. Again, guys, you can't ignore this stuff, please. Don't ignore it. Some of the windows remain blocked off. There was no answer. A worker used large pieces of cardboard to cover the windows. preventing those outside from seeing what was going on. Other workers used pizza boxes to block the door windows as some chanted, "Stop the vote." Why would you be blocking people from watching if you're not cheating? What? I mean, what's going on? And how about this, guys? We showed you this before. What is going on? Minnesota and Wisconsin both had 89 to 90% turnout, something that's highly unlikely. Wow. Huh. That is odd. In a city that never had more than 65% voter turnout, Wisconsin had 89% turnout ratio. Minnesota, 90%. Usually they're down there. Like the Georgia, the Michigan. And even with that, Trump whooped him. You hear what I said? Whooped him. So now, back into some more stuff. Okay, here we go. This is why Wisconsin. So Wisconsin, Joe Biden, Milwaukee County Democratic Party Chair Chris Walton. So five of Milwaukee voting wards report more than 89% turnout. All are in the city's 11th aldermanic ward on the city's far southwest side. Wow. So guys, like they're saying here, I went through all this. I'm not going to bore you with all it, but again, 89% turnout ratio in Wisconsin. Wards where there was 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 12 votes for Trump. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But let me get through. Oh, here's one I liked. So, you guys remember this guy, governor of Illinois. So when they asked him, are the Democrats stealing votes? He said, "Is the Pope Catholic?" You remember, guys, Rod Blagojevich? I just remember we called him Blago. Remember Blago? Here's what Blago says. Blago, born and raised inside the Chicago political machine, told Newsmax's Rob Smith that stealing votes was a time-honored tradition in major cities like Chicago and Philadelphia that are almost run entirely by Democrats. They did it to me first. Rod Blago knew exactly what the FBI did to Flynn. If the question is, are the Democrats stealing votes in Philadelphia? Then my answer is the Pope Catholic? Blago replied. It's a time-honored tradition in big Democrat-controlled cities like Chicago, my hometown, Philadelphia, to do precisely what they're doing. Blago went on to say that what set this particular election apart from previous elections was the magnitude, saying that he had never seen it executed on such a scale. Guys, I said this before. What did I say back in June? Once they came out of that special session here in Nevada, 2 special sessions we had here, and not one time did we address the coronavirus, the actual emergency at hand. No, we put in place a scheme, a system to steal votes using the coronavirus, which is exactly what happened in Nevada. It's still happening right now. Corruption, because our governor's corrupt. So, yeah. Anyway, bottom line is, he says he cited the large. Oh, here we go. They know how to operate, Blago continued. They control polling places. They stop votes when their candidate is behind. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the former Democrat governor from Illinois. All right? No one knows the cheating system better than this guy, who did prison time for it, by the way. I know how they operate. They control polling places. They stop votes when their candidate is behind. And then in the wee hours, in the dark of night, the stealing starts. Guys, this is from Blagojevich, okay, the former governor of Illinois. Do you see that? Where did you see this reported in the mainstream media, in the mainstream fake news media? Where did you see this reported? What happened on election night? Their candidate got behind, so they stopped counting the votes. And that's when the stealing started. Okay? It has now been more than a week, and I might add, Has anybody noticed how there's been no cities burned to the ground? Did you in fact notice that they took the boards and the protection off the buildings? I thought Trump supporters were going to go riot. I thought you guys were thinking I was leading riots. I'm creating protests because that's what I do. I start violent protests. No, I protected our city from a bunch of idiots not from here, like every American patriot community member should do. All right, that wasn't anything bad. It was a good thing. So get a clue, whoever's out there thinking I'm doing anything besides protecting this community. You guys are complete idiots. So here, Blago goes on to say he cited the large vote dumps in places like Michigan of examples of what he was talking about, accusing the media of looking the other way because they wanted to beat Donald Trump at all costs. However, the Daily Caller reported the large vote dump in Michigan was the result of a clerical error in Michigan's Shawassee County presidential election data that was quickly corrected. Nah, I don't think that's what happened, everybody. But we're going to keep going. Again, that is true that we are winning in Pennsylvania. So he says, so he's just talking about, again, just the magnitude of voter fraud taking place. Oh, yeah, he says again, it's how they operate. They stop the votes when their candidates are behind. My instincts tell me that's exactly what's going on in Atlanta, Detroit, Milwaukee, and Las Vegas. Wow. So guys, this isn't just me saying this. This is a former operator, high operator in the Democratic Party. So now that we've gone through the stealing, okay, we've talked about the stealing. The election is trying to be stolen right now. Every American, whatever Capitol building you can get close to this weekend, you should be at. If you can get to D.C., you should go to D.C. And again, guys, no violence, no burning, no rioting. We are peacefully assembling to show our support for the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, who will be president for another 4 years when all this nonsense is over. Take that to the bank. Read the Constitution, JJ. Get a clue, bro. Go get your law degree, then come at me. Until you got one, stay back. Because you're pissing into a hurricane, dude. So here, let me go through this real quick. I wanted to talk to you guys about this. This was to show more of the garbage. Georgia, let me talk about this. Donald Trump, Georgia Senate, we already went through that. Not Wyoming. I wanted to show you one more. Montana. I don't have any more of that. All right. We're not going to go on the steal anymore. We're done enough of the steal. I will say this, though. For those of you guys that aren't aware of this. So now, Dominion Voting Systems. Dominion Voting System is a software company that's produced massive fraud. Dominion Voting Systems switched 220,000 votes and lost 940,000 votes in Pennsylvania. In New Jersey, they switched 80,000 votes, lost 20. In Florida, they switched 21,000 votes. Michigan, they switched 20,000 votes and also lost 21. New York switched 18,000, lost a total of 623,000 votes. Georgia switched 17,000, lost 33,000. Ohio switched 14,000, lost 5,100. Virginia lost switched 12,000, lost 789,000. California, they switched 71,000. Again, California was lost. We knew that. In Arizona, they switched 4,492 votes. They didn't lose any. In Minnesota, they switched 2,766, but they lost 195. Whose votes do you think Dominion Software lost? When I'm saying lost votes, who do you think lost the votes? Do you think Joe Biden lost the votes? Or do you think Donald Trump lost the votes? Look it up, guys. Dominion Software. It is in 30-something states. How about this? Colorado switched 1,800 votes, lost 0 votes. Illinois switched 2,100 votes, lost 54,000 votes. I wonder why they lost these votes. I wonder what lost votes means. Missouri switched 0 but lost 20,000. What do you think they lost, guys? Unknown systems. So what I want you guys to look up for me and do some research on and put it in the comments is the scorecard program they're using, a CIA created software that alters the vote and can alter the vote 3%. So whatever the vote is, it can be altered 3% just with the touch of a keyboard. Scoreboard, and also look up the hammer. Look up the hammer and look up the scoreboard. Okay? Because that's what's happening here. That's what's happening here. So now that we have covered the garbage, let's go into the next chapter that's important here. Okay, the next chapter, guys, is about the ridiculous lockdowns. Okay, the ridiculous lockdowns. So here's what we have to talk about. Once again, you people on here spouting nonsense, I spoke to a doctor today that's at both hospitals here in Reno. Both hospitals. And here's what I've been told. The hospitals are on red divert like they are every time this year, every year, year after year. Did you hear what I just said? Kevin Dick, you incompetent and absolutely unqualified, I'm not going to say anything mean outside of the fact that you should be fired and you should be sued. I'd sue you. I might sue you, actually, to be completely frank. Because what you've done is got everyone panicked and scared again for no reason. Every year, our hospitals do the same thing at this time of year. During the cold and flu season, we go to red divert status. But you want to know what? They're not filled up with COVID patients. They're filled up with people scared out of their mind because every day and every night on the evening news, we see the same BS. What does this say here? COVID PCR test prone to hatching false positives. Why does that matter? Wow. Well, let me show you why that matters. Because right here in Reno, sorry guys, I moved this thing when I shouldn't have because I got to show us something. Just a second here. What happened to it? About the Reno situation. Oh, we'll get into this too. I almost forgot this, guys. Don't let me forget. Apparently, there's no big deal with everybody celebrating the Biden victory. But if you're out there to support Trump or for something that they don't agree with you with, then you're in trouble. I gotta find the thing for up here. Hold tight, guys. Hold tight. This is important. Again, I already showed you the Southern Nevada. Okay, here it is. We already talked about this. The Nevada Department of Health and Human Services is calling all flu death coronavirus death. Because that makes sense, right? We would totally do that. Why wouldn't we do that? That wouldn't scare anybody crazy. Okay, no, that's not it. That's not it. Oh, by the way, they another state got tossed out today for their ridiculous coronavirus restrictions that are illegal and shouldn't be forced on anybody, but they don't want to talk about that. We'll get to that next. Hold on. We'll wait for it. Wait for it. Here's one thing to talk about real quick, guys. So I did bring this up. Britt Hume. So Britt Hume asked brutal question as videotape emerges of crowds celebrating the Biden win. So how come no one's out there screaming about the fake President-elect Biden deal? So COVID's gone for that. You can celebrate Biden kind of winning, even though he didn't win, and no mass death from COVID. But if Donald Trump has a rally, there's mass death, and the governor's got to shut it down. That's just odd to me. I mean, I don't understand it. Okay, so here we go. This one says COVID-19 measures should be age specific. The whole scam just fell apart. COVID test overwhelming number of false positives. So guys, they know that these PCR tests, as they're called, they only test for a simple protein of a virus that could be any coronavirus. There's many coronaviruses. The common cold or flu can provide the same positive. You could have had the coronavirus in March and it can be showing, because again, these tests, guys, this isn't just me. These tests, we were warned to not use these tests. How about this one from the New York Times? Your coronavirus test is positive. Maybe it shouldn't be. Kind of an important thing, right? So they go on here to talk about that these PCR tests were never meant to be used the way we're using them. Does that make sense to you people? The tests that we're using to determine whether or not we should keep people locked down or our schools at home say on the damn label not to use them because they don't diagnose anything. You don't think that should worry anybody? Okay. How about this? Washoe County suspends asymptomatic testing, after record number of positive tests. Does everybody see that? So guys, they did that because maybe your coronavirus test is positive and it shouldn't be. Do you think that's what's happening? Yeah, that's what's happening. Because they know that the PCR tests are BS. Here's another one that you'll get a kick out of. I've showed this. I keep bringing this one up. I can't help it. I don't have the clear copy of it. Sorry, there's just so much to work with in such little time. Well, that was the coronavirus on the rise. How about this one? Lockdown skeptic. False positives. Right? So they know one type of false positive would be detection of not only the SARS coronavirus, but other coronaviruses as well. Perhaps someone who has carefully studied the PCR primers and range of extant human coronavirus sequence could judge how likely this is to occur. A second type of false positive would be the detection of non-infectious viral fragments that can remain in one's respiratory passages for 2 to 3 months after the election has been eliminated by the immune system. Woo! However, the class of false positive most people talk about entails contamination of PCR reactions with trace amounts of viral material. You know what? I talked to a very smart doctor friend earlier today. I'm not going to let you guys know his name. It's Dr. Z to me. And he said exactly this. Must be a genius. He said that contamination of PCR reactions with trace amounts of viral material, which in PCR labs almost always comes from previous reaction products. The PCR assay works by amplifying a few copies of the virus molecules by millions or billions fold, so it's pretty much impossible to completely avoid having some reaction products escape and contaminate the laboratory or some of the utilized reagents. These then get into and become amplified in subsequent test samples, causing false positive results. So let's call these contamination positives. Since the PCR assays are performed in different laboratories in many places, contamination positives would cause clusters of false positives to pop up in different locations at different times. Sound familiar? Yeah. Oh, gosh, here's another one, Kevin Dick. Hey, Dick. If the PCR test is unreliable, why are health officials demanding the public be tested? Well, that's funny because they're not anymore. Kevin Dick, suspended asymptomatic testing after record number of positive test results. Why did he do that? Because the PCR tests are so unreliable that Dick had to suspend them. The PCR tests are so unreliable that Dick had to suspend them. PCR test, Dick. PCR test, Dick. Am I catching up with everybody now? Yeah, I know. Got to be a little humor involved, but you get where I'm coming from, right, guys? You get where I'm coming from? It's all a bunch of nonsense. The governor is incompetent. He has no clue what he's doing. He's never had a plan but to deliver Nevada to the DNC for his power brokers, for his handlers, because he's corrupt. That's it, you know? And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm going to say what you all want to say, but you don't got the stones to say it. Just admit it. Just admit it. Put in the comments, I don't have the stones, Joey. It's okay. You can be honest with me. I'm your lawyer. You should always be honest with your attorney. You should always tell your attorney everything. If no one's ever told you that, always be honest with your lawyer. Don't lie to your lawyer. Don't lie to me. All right? I've earned your respect because I've continually got out and punched for you. When you didn't have it and you didn't do it and you didn't want to do it because you were scared, okay? Because I know this is one vindictive dude. Trust me. I got, you know, they're looking. They're probing. My problem is I don't do anything. Probably a pretty boring probe, you know. But I want to go through this one more time because it's important. The lockdown skeptics, again, the false positives. Can you guys see this? The data continues to unfold on the positives. Do you see this trending down? Do you see how it's going down? Ooh, right? From March all the way to the end of October. So now, here's what they say. The rate at which contamination positives occur nationally could easily be determined by rerunning a series of positive samples. This will ideally be done on a reserved aliquot of the initial swab sample, not on the processed version that goes into the PCR reaction, as that processing could have been contaminated. If the original sample has been completely used up by the standard assay process, then one would have to go back and get a second sample from each individual that scored positive. I have heard that authorities do conduct such retesting controls to determine false positive rates, but I have not seen this officially reported anywhere. Do you know where they do this, guys? You ever see all the NFL teams or the NBA teams or the MLB teams? There's like 30 positives, and then they all get retested, and then suddenly, miraculously, none of them are positive? Yeah, that's because they did it right. They had the money and the power, and they didn't want to have to be at home in a mask. They wanted to be playing, so that's what they did. So, guys, the tests are bull. Yeah, I can't say the bad word. I've been told I can't say the BS word anymore, which I think is total nonsense. But I'm gonna respect the people on my team, so I'm not gonna say it. But I want to share with this again one more time. Again, we went through this. Okay, we went through this one more time. So the PCR tests, again, the PCR tests are prone to hatching false positive. Kevin Dick knows this, so he suspended the testing. PCR test, false positive, Kevin Dick. PCR test, false positive, Kevin Dick. You guys see where I'm going here? PCR test, Kevin Dick. PCR tests are not reliable. They hatch false positives. What do? They scare the bejesus out of the community, and they get everybody freaked out like we got to go back inside, like that's worked since March. We've been in your masks. We've been locked down. Businesses have died for you, for our neighbor, to save everybody. But they're still spiking. Why are they still spiking? Because you're still testing. And because you're still testing, everybody, now we're not testing. And what did I say on my post almost a month ago? I said, stop testing, Nevada. Unless you're sick, stop testing. And then what does Kevin Dick finally do? In whatever the date was, Saturday. What was the date Saturday, everybody? Oh, no, on November 9th, Washoe County suspends asymptomatic testing after a record number of positive tests. Why? Because if they know the positive tests don't mean anything. But you want to know what does mean something? I'll tell you what means something, guys. You know, I'm sorry I have to be up here this entire time, doing my thing, getting all this done, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is this. What could be done is we could be treating people early. So now we're going to get into the crux of this little argument tonight, which is that the last thing we should be doing is more lockdowns and restrictions. Governor Sisolak knows that because in every medical journal across the world, they now say that the lockdowns may have had a little effect on the COVID-19 spread. Why? Because it's a virus, right? And people like this very smart lady from the UK had said that we may have already reached herd immunity in an interview with this professor said. Why do we know that? Well, because we're doing these PCR tests and then we're trying to lock people down and scare down based on the false positives in the PCR tests, which is why Kevin Dick said to stop testing. Okay, so I'm not making this up. I'm actually backing all this up. And I know I've got the bandwidth of my peeps there putting stuff up all over the comments. Thank you so much, everybody, from doing what you're doing. Appreciate you more than you know. And so all I want to say is that the herd immunity is still key in the fight against COVID-19. They're still talking about herd immunity, guys. This is Dr. Scott Atlas, who Trump brought on board. Go check him out. Go see what Dr. Scott Atlas has to say about what we're doing. And then somebody, just for poops and giggles, go pull the report where they compared COVID-19 in school children between Finland and Sweden. I dare you. I triple dog dare you, medical people out there that think you know everything, go pull this study. Then apologize to me. Write me a nice letter. Politely. Yeah, you guys are idiots. I have no problem saying that. Here's where we're going to go, guys. This is where I'm going to finish everything with. So you've heard me bring this up before. I'm going to talk about it again. Where, oh, where, the Great Barrington Declaration. Go look up the Great Barrington Declaration. People, please post this. Melissa, get it up there. The Great Barrington Declaration is now signed by over 30,000 public health experts across the world, detailing the very damaging physical and mental impacts created by the lockdowns from COVID-19, which they now say will be far worse than anything that COVID-19 would have done. That's a pretty bold statement. Now from the BBC, Governor Sisolak, I want you to pay attention. Caleb, get your note cards out. Kevin Dick, you need this because you still don't get it. Coronavirus experts join global anti-lockdown movement. You tell me this. Why do I have to go to international journals to print this? Can someone please explain that to me? Why do I have to go to international journals to print this? News 4, News 8. Where's your story covering this? Hey, News 8. You guys are pretty good, right? Pretty good. Loyal to the community. Love the community? News 8, you love the community? Where's your report on how the public health experts across the world feel? Where's your 2 minutes of coverage? News 2. Hey, News 2. Hey, News 4. You guys that advertise for the people of this community? You care about this community? News 4, News 2, News 8, you care about this community? Where's 1 minute that you dedicated to the Great Barrington Declaration? 1 minute. Where's one epidemiologist that you've brought on locally with a different opinion than Governor Sisolak and that idiot Caleb Cage, or the governor's completely inept chief of staff? Give me one. Give me 1 minute of coverage on this. You care about the community, right? You care about Nevadans? Channel 3 down in Las Vegas, 13. You guys care about Nevadans? Where's your 2 minutes on the Great Barrington Declaration? 2 minutes of coverage. That's what I'm challenging you for. All right? And how about this? News 2, News 8, News 4, Fox 11. How about 1 minute on the ballot cheating? How about 1 minute on the voter fraud? How come we haven't seen this on one of your live feeds? Okay? And here's this. Here's another one. You know, I'm just a conspiracy theorist. Joey Gilbert has lost his mind again. You know, he can't accept the election. He can't accept that Trump got the most votes than any sitting president in history, probably 73 million, almost 10 million more than he got last time out. And I'm in denial? Yeah. Thank God there's something called the Constitution. News 8, News 4, News 11, Las Vegas, NBC in Las Vegas, no, Channel 3. We used to be friends. I used to go in there during the contender. We do our interviews. Where's your story on this? Where's your story on this? How about some coverage on this? You guys care about Nevada? Give me 5 minutes of coverage on the PCR test. Give me 5 minutes of coverage on herd immunity. Give me 5 minutes of coverage of the Great Barrington Declaration. Then come back and talk to me. Right? Yeah, because you won't. Because you won't. So now, and we're going to finish with two things. We're going to finish with the Life news story on America's Frontline Doctors, and I know that it will be up there before this is done. Oh, here's what I was talking about. Here, I got to pull this from the Australian papers. Australia. See that? From Australia. Can't do a very good Australian accent. Might sound a little British. But from my friends in Australia. Coronavirus, the WHO backflips on the lockdowns. Do you see that, Caleb? Do you see that, Kevin Dick? Telling people to stay home. It's a virus, you completely inept person. And if the staying at home would have worked, then the casinos and small businesses you devastated wouldn't have had to be closed. But you're too stupid and too stuck in your politics to come corrected. So we're going to come corrected for you, because that's our job. And actually, it's what I like doing. I really do enjoy proving you guys wrong. I mean, I saw something. I love Naomi Jardine. She's probably one of the only few people that I'm actually cool with right now, because the rest of them, I think, have just absolutely dropped the ball on you guys. But Naomi, sorry. But you went on to talk about, the hospitals and this and oh my God, and they're exhausted. The hospital capacity is the same right now as it was this time last year at this exact time of year. And you got Southern Nevada hospitals releasing statements that their facilities or capacities remain sufficient. So please stop with the nonsense. Stop with the pandering. Stop with the fear-mongering. It's not true. And you know what? The most important part to this whole thing is what I'm about to say next, because it really needs to be said. How dare you doctors out there, because I know there's still some of them in this community, how dare you not give people access to the medications that are working the best, the most, with the most efficacy. And you know what they are. Hydroxychloroquine is still doing the best early on above anything else. Not remdesivir, doesn't do jack in the same time period compared to hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, and other anti-inflammatories, anticoagulants. There is so much you can do. Even a very, very, very smart doctor, can't tell you who he is because I don't want him to get in trouble, and I don't want the psychos around here. Hold on, guys, I gotta find this. Where's the Life one? Where's my American Frontline Doctors one? Did I lose it? Just a second here. I'm not out of camera. I'm not leaving you. I'm just looking for my American Frontline Doctors one. Where did it go? There it is. There it is. Okay, guys. So here, this is what we had to wait for. So we had to wait for. I started with this. I'm gonna finish with this. Physicians, masks don't control you. Viruses, they control you. The pandemic is over. Now we got a good following here, guys. So stay with me, because this is important. This is important. So now, a graduate of University of Rochester Medical School, Dr. Lee Merritt served for 10 years as a military surgeon and also on a congressional committee investigating technology for the Navy. As a spine surgeon, she explains, I spent 40% of my life in a mask, and I can tell you in my entire career, nobody was talking about masks as a control mechanism for viruses. Viruses are passed by tiny 0.12 micron particles that sneak out through the mask and around the mask. Even the very best medical mask cannot screen out, cannot protect from this type of small virus particle. Indeed, the atmosphere and the whole air fluidity is filled with the viruses. We have it around us at all times. You cannot mask that away. Besides, what they're doing to society as a whole, separating us, isolating us, think about what they're doing to our children, she said. Masks don't control viruses, they control you. Again, guys, please go to this site, all right, live site, or America's Frontline Doctors. Could someone please right now, at this exact moment, put in www.americasfrontlinedoctors.com and tell everybody to please go read it. The pandemic is over, he says. Dr. Richard Urso, graduate of the University of Texas Houston School of Medicine, explained how early on he realized we had a treatment for this virus, and thus the lockdown never made sense. Viruses involve infection and often inflammation, blood clots, and breathing problems, he stated. Since every doctor knows how to treat these issues, successful treatment was always available. So what are we doing, Governor Sisolak? Why the lockdown? Why the crazy scaring everybody with the nonsense? Because you're a corrupt joke. That's why. So he goes on to say, if anybody tells you different, that is fiction, not science. Viruses, he explained, act in a consistent way. They have a large peak early on with many people getting cases and a lot of people dying. Then about 110 days later, you get a small peak follow-up. And next, the curve diminishes and flattens. Have you guys noticed that there's been no peak in deaths since the end of June? Not even actually, it was more the end of May going into June. Did anybody notice that? But we're still masking up and locking down to slow the spread. That didn't work. That doesn't work because it's a virus because it doesn't work? Okay, right, anyway. So on his chart, Urso showed where the two peaks were in March and July and then pointed out the very low death rate in September despite a high number of reported cases, emphasizing the pandemic is over. He also charged the media. Fake news media, News 4, News 2, News 8, Fox News 11 here in town. You're liars. You're dishonest. It's unfortunate. He also charged the media with driving what he referred to as case-demic, with fear and trying to make us believe that we need to stay locked down. Here it is, guys. This isn't me saying it. This is a doctor saying it. On his chart, see this right here? To charge the media with case-demic. Hey, media, knock it off. Infections don't mean anything. Unbelievable. Okay, so now, here's where we got to go. The face mask might look like the mask may look like they are not much. Just a soft piece of cloth over your face. What's the big deal? The big deal is they may be soft, they may look okay, but this is George Orwell's boot on the human face forever if we don't get this off, she concluded. Okay, so now, this is the last thing I have to say, guys. If you're less than 20 years old, so this is everybody in high school down, which is why we can open the schools. If you're less than 20, the survivability rating of COVID is 99.9997. Okay, you understand that? Given examples, he showed that while every death is tragedy, a child is about 5 times more likely to die from drowning, 8.3 times more likely to die in a traffic accident and 25 times more likely to die from cancer than the coronavirus. Secondly, address the notion that somehow our children spread the virus to adults, at-risk adults, confirming that this just isn't true. Stop it. Stop it, guys. The kids aren't super spreaders. They're not going to get grandma and grandpa sick. They're not going to infect anybody. Demonstrating that point, he cited a study from The Atlantic, which looked at 200,000 kids in 47 states and concluded kids barely get ill and don't spread this virus to at-risk adults. Similarly, a German study of over 2,000 students and 13 schools concluded that, in fact, children act as a brake upon the virus spreading to adults. They actually stop it. You insane lunatics that have done what you've done to these children. Schools in the United States must be open, he said. The fear of this virus is causing more harm than the virus itself, with increased anxiety, increased suicide, and increased depression. We must open our schools and we must stop spreading unnecessary fear to our children. Early treatment and zero deaths. And with this, guys, I'm going to be done. So stay with me. We are almost there. I've got two little last pieces to put up there just to show you how incompetent Kevin Dick is and how just unconscionable and corrupt our governor is. Because there's no other reason to do what they're doing besides to create pain, panic, and problems for our beloved state. But don't worry, I got a plan. I always got a plan. I mean, I've lost plenty of fights with a plan, but I got a plan. Here it is. Here's something you got to hear about. The media has lied and people have died. Early treatment and zero deaths. So doctors, administrators, from Renown to St. Mary's to Carson Tahoe, we now know, coming from El Centro, California, Dr. Brian Tyson, a board-certified family medical doctor in the trenches treating people with coronavirus, explained how he rejected the directives of public health officials who advised doctors to send COVID-19 patients home until their symptoms had reached a certain level of severity. Now look, everybody, it's not mystery or magic that hospitals make big bucks if you show up there and you're coronavirus positive. As a matter of fact, they make about 4 times the money they would if you didn't show up there. So they have an incentive of treating coronavirus patients for as long as they can treat them. Do you understand what I'm saying? They have no incentive to get you in and out of the hospital quickly. So bear with me. Here's what he said. Instead, using hydroxychloroquine, we treated this virus early, we treated this virus aggressively, and what he described as being one of the highest risk populations in the nation, with patients ranging between the ages of 11 months to 90 years old. They treated over 1,900 positive patients and had only 1 hospitalization. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? St. Mary's, Renown, Carson Tahoe. There is a doctor that treated over 1,900 patients positive with the coronavirus with symptoms and did not have 1 death. How many people have you had in your hospital that were positive for the coronavirus that you did not treat with hydroxychloroquine or another therapeutic that died or that went on a ventilator and died? Because you have blood on your hands. You took an oath to do no harm. And right here, one of your colleagues is saying early treatment, 0 deaths. Do you see this? Is it clear to you? Renown Hospital, home of many forthcoming lawsuits. St. Mary's, Reno Carson, or Tahoe Carson. If you're not giving hydroxychloroquine when people are coming in, and I know you're not, because nurses are calling telling me that you have it in ample supply and you're not giving it. Why not? Oh, because then you can talk about hospital capacity. You can feed Kevin Dick, our local idiot, the village idiot. You can feed him the info that the positives are increasing, hospitals are at capacity, and we need to shut down. Even though the Great Barrington Declaration says shutdowns are wrong, even though the lockdown skeptics say the lockdowns are wrong, that doesn't matter apparently. Even though we've got different countries, where's the countries? We've got different countries talking about the lockdowns. So here's Australia. The World Health Organization did a backflip and said the lockdowns don't work. But what does work? Early treatment. Early treatment equals 0 deaths. So that's how we solve this problem. Coronavirus task force here in Nevada. Get aggressive. Get up with a new plan. And let me share this with you. If your plan from March hasn't worked, and you're going to come try and jam the same stupid plan down our throats, and you think we're going to listen to it, you must be smoking something from these dispensaries. Because we're not going to do it. It's not happening. I triple dog dare you, Governor Sisolak, to try and lock down this state again. Go for it. Go for it. Knowing the information that I've put out here and that everybody knows, try and lock down this state. I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see you convince everybody that they need to go back in their houses like back in March because what you did then worked so well, we're going to repeat it. Does that make any sense, anybody? Early treatment equals 0 deaths. The media has lied and people have died. Do you see that? Here's what he wants to say. Certified internal medicine physician Dr. Robin Armstrong told a story, the contrast between treating his patients in the hospital and those in nursing homes. In the former case, he used a treatment regimen including dexamethasone and a convalescent plasma with limited success. We've seen a lot of patients die in these circumstances, and we've seen some of these patients get better. By contrast, in nursing home practice, he explained they had the opportunity to successfully treat these frail patients, very sick, these elderly patients with hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, and zinc. And those patients got better. Now, there's a very smart doctor here in town. I've referenced him twice. There's actually a Dr. D and a Dr. Z and a Dr. F, all prescribing, get this, hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D, and most notably and most recently, they're asking that you gargle, gargle with some Listerine to clear out the back pocket of your mouth. Holy smokes! So, everybody, if it hasn't been made clear to you, it should be clear to you now. This is what I'm recommending that you do. I'm recommending that, again, now the media and a lot of fake doctors on television will tell you that hydroxychloroquine is not safe. He said, and I'm here to tell you that's an absolute lie. The media have lied and people have died. News 2, you've killed people. News 4, you've killed people. News 8, you've killed people. Fox 11, you've killed people. Las Vegas, NBC 3, you've killed people. I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy spreading the nonsense about hydroxychloroquine when you know it works, because you must have access to these same websites too, and you must be reading them. But all of a sudden, Joe Hart, you can't talk about it. All of a sudden, cat's got his tongue. But meanwhile, you got Kevin Dick not testing people anymore because, why? Well, the whole scam fell apart. The whole COVID test scam fell apart. Overwhelming number of false positives. Doesn't that sound pretty similar to what Kevin Dick did here? Yeah, guys. Yeah, guys. It's a shakedown. It's a hoax. Enough. Enough is enough. So, the hope I leave you with here today is this. Number 1, we know a lot about this virus. It's still a dangerous virus. And for some people in the top tier, they need early treatment for 0 death. Do you see what that says there, right here, guys, up here? 11 months to 90 years old. 0 deaths. Do you see that? 0 deaths. We have less people. We have less than 1,900 people in the emergency rooms and in the ICUs here in Nevada right now. Want to know how many of them are on hydroxychloroquine? Probably not many. You want to know how many lawsuits there should be? However many people are in the ICU not on hydroxychloroquine. That's how many lawsuits there should be. And you know what? I can't wait to go after these guys. I really can't. I can't wait, because it's not going to be me. There's some bad mamma-jammer attorneys out there, far smarter than me, that I'm going to be linking up with, and we're coming for you, Renown. You better believe it. We are coming for you. And Carson Tahoe. Because I heard just recently, you're not giving it out. It's sitting on the shelves. You're not giving it to these people, and they're still dying. They're going on ventilators, and they're dying. And you're liable. You took an oath to do no harm. How do you then get around not prescribing a medication that's been FDA approved for 70 years and prescribed off-label for 40 years with the highest efficacy for the coronavirus, and you won't give it to people? How do you explain that? You don't, because it's criminal and it's illegal. So I leave you guys with this, the couple things I leave you with. Number one, our hospitals are at the same capacity this year at this time of year they are every year at this time of year, because it's cold and flu season. And they're not overwhelmed from COVID. They're overwhelmed from people terrified because of our governor and his inept leadership, and people like Kevin Dick and the Washoe County Commission and the rest of the derelicts that continually advance the narrative of fear. Our hospitals are completely available for anybody that needs them. They're even doing elective surgeries down south. Now, they may have slowed elective surgeries up here because we're red for divert, like we are every year this time of year, every year this time of year. Is that better? Did that sink for some of you guys? And again, early treatment for 0 deaths. So look up America Frontline Doctors, see what they say. I've been trying to say this to you guys for the longest time. This was out of our own CDC. Evidence: most who contract COVID-19 frequently wear masks. I showed that to you guys last time. And again, I part with this positive message of hope. Donald Trump is not conceding this election. Why would he? He won this thing fair and square in all the states he needed to win it in. Minnesota, well, he probably did win Minnesota. Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia. They're done. It's just a matter of time. And it was massive voting fraud, the worst in likes of which we've never seen. It must be exposed or this country disappears. So everybody, stand by, stand your ground. Donald Trump is your president, and Donald Trump will be your president for a lot longer. And the media, they don't get to call the president. So when it's been ratified and it's been sent, and we all agree, this is the United States of America, then we get to declare a winner. But unfortunately, because of the cheating, it's not going to be happening anytime soon. And when the president's awarded Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, or they're thrown out, I really don't care what happens. All I know is you should all read the Constitution. You should look at the 12th Amendment. You should pay close attention to what happens if this election is declared invalid due to the rampant, proven, documented, videotaped, whistleblowed, signed affidavits, signed sworn statements of so many people across this country with voter fraud that there's a good possibility that's going to happen. So you should look up what happens there. And again, this is the last thing I want to say to all you. Keep an eye on everybody right now, because as you'll notice, they took all the plywood off the businesses in Washington, D.C. and other places where they were expecting the massive rioting if they weren't able to pull off their cheating scandal, but they got caught. And so they've taken it off. But remember this, remember what happens now when Donald Trump is declared the victor and they start destroying our cities again. It wasn't the Trump supporters, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that. I'm not violent. I'll never create violence. I'll never create a campaign that creates violence. I would never be behind that. But will I get my fellow patriots and my fellow Nevadans and those that love this country to gather with our American flags and our Trump flags and go wave them at the Capitol building or go wave them, in a park here in town? Yeah, we'll do that. But will we break stuff, destroy businesses, burn things, go after our law enforcement? No, we won't. And lastly, guys, the reason this is important, look what happened in the Congress. Nancy Pelosi's gone. She doesn't even realize it. She's gone. We won more congressional races than they did. Okay? That doesn't happen if Biden was to win. Okay? They got schooled. And just remember, no damage was done to this country. There was no rioting. There was no fires. There was no burning. There was no looting. Trump supporters, remember that. We love our freedom. We love our ability to, wave our flags, to support our president. You're going to see a lot of parades. You're going to see a lot of, mass, driving parades, boat parades, and people gathering in support of our president. So I would encourage you all to tune into, news stations like Newsmax or One America News, because what's on Fox and CNN and MSNBC and the fake news media, even our own media here, is all BS. It's all they did on the media blackout was to tell you who the winner was and not let you see what's in dispute. But this election is in dispute, big time, and it's not going to fly. So everybody, this is Joey Gilbert signing off. And just again to share with you one more time before I go, because I don't want anybody worried tonight. Southern Nevada hospitals, you guys are good. Plenty of space down there in Southern Nevada. And up here in Northern Nevada, we're on divert like we always are this time of year. No, the hospital is not overwhelmed with COVID patients. It's just normal business as usual. And what it is, it's Kevin Dick and the rest of these incompetent people that suspended testing because of the record number of positive tests, because the tests are prone to creating false positives. So they stopped the PCR testing because the PCR testing is unreliable. One more time for everybody. PCR tests prone to hatching false positives. Washoe County suspends the testing. Yeah. That's it, everybody. Stay safe out there. And again, for voting irregularities, if you did not vote and it's now showing that you voted, you owe this state your honor. Send it to me. If you know someone that voted that shouldn't have voted, or if you know someone that doesn't live here that sent in an absentee ballot or mail-in ballot, share that with me. Do what's right. Any whistleblowers out there that saw this election fraud happening in this state, call me. I'll protect you. You got my word on it. And you know who you're dealing with. Oh, I got you. And you know I got the people that got you. So I might not be me, but you know I got a guy. Because I got a guy. I always got a guy. Nevada, I love you. I'm here for you. I will always be here fighting for Nevadans. I love this state. I'm a product of this community. Don't hate on me because I'm made from this community. I'm a part of Northern Nevada forever. I spent 5 years living in Las Vegas. I have as many friends down there that I love and miss, and I want you guys to be safe too. But don't buy into this nonsense anymore. Early treatment for coronavirus to prevent death. Do not let people go home from the hospital. If you're at the hospital and they're not giving you these medicines, call me. I'll get one of my doctors to pay a special visit there. We'll find out what they're doing. We'll sue them. We'll sue anybody. I love suing people. Love you guys. I'm done. Tapped.